Hello Heartland fan, welcome back. Sometimes the moments we prepare for the most are the ones that fall apart in front of everyone. Amy thought Lyndy's first 4-H show would be a proud milestone, a moment to celebrate years of patience, training, and love. But when the show begins, nothing goes as planned. And the strong bond between mother and daughter is tested in ways Amy never expected. The morning sun rises over Heartland Ranch, painting the fields in soft gold. There's a feeling of nervous excitement in the air. Lyndy is getting ready for her first ever 4-H horse show, her boots freshly polished, her little jacket slightly too big, her eyes full of hope. Amy watches her from the doorway, proud but anxious. She remembers her own first competition, the mix of thrill and fear, the sound of applause that felt both comforting and heavy. For Amy, this day is more than just a show. It's a moment that symbolizes how far her daughter has come. Lyndy has been practicing for weeks. Early mornings, endless grooming, and lessons on how to stay calm under pressure. Heartland Ranch has seen many champions, but today, Amy doesn't care about ribbons or trophies. She just wants her daughter to enjoy the experience, to feel that special connection with her horse, the same connection Amy's built her whole life around. But under Amy's calm smile, there's tension. She knows Lyndy's young heart carries big expectations. Lyndy wants to make her mom proud, and that pressure can turn excitement into fear in seconds. Amy senses it, that flicker of worry in Lyndy's eyes when she checks her saddle one too many times, the way she keeps glancing toward her mother for reassurance. Amy kneels beside her and whispers, "You've got this. Just trust your horse and trust yourself." It's advice she's given countless riders before. But today, the words carry a different weight. At the fairgrounds, the crowd buzzes with noise, laughter, clinking gates, the low hum of nervous parents. Horses stomp restlessly, sensing the tension of the day. Lyndy leads her horse, Sugarfoot, into the arena. Amy stands by the fence, her hands tightly clasped. Every instinct in her body wants to guide, correct, and protect. But this moment isn't hers to control anymore. It belongs to Lyndy. For a few shining seconds, everything looks perfect. Sugarfoot moves gracefully. Lyndy sits tall, her face glowing with pride. Amy breathes out, finally starting to relax. But then it happens, something small, almost unnoticeable at first. A loud noise from the stands, a fallen banner fluttering in the wind. Sugarfoot startles, jerking sideways. Lyndy loses her balance, her hands scrambling for control. The audience gasps, and Amy's heart drops. She rushes forward instinctively. But another mother holds her back, gently reminding her that judges will disqualify if she interferes. Amy stands frozen, torn between the rules and her instincts. She watches her daughter trying to calm a frightened animal while holding back her own tears. It's not just a competition anymore. It's a battle of trust and fear. As the chaos settles, Lyndy manages to steady herself, but the damage is done. The performance is messy, the connection broken. The applause that follows is polite, sympathetic. Amy's chest aches as she sees the disappointment on Lyndy's face. She knows this is part of growing up, learning that even when you do everything right, things can still fall apart. When they finally leave the ring, Lyndy's silent. She doesn't cry, doesn't speak. She just walks beside Sugarfoot, eyes down. Amy wants to fix it, to say the right thing, but she doesn't know where to start. The proud day she imagined has turned into a painful lesson, one she can't shield her daughter from. As they head back to the trailer, Amy realizes this moment might stay with Lyndy forever. The question is, will it break her confidence or help her grow stronger? For Amy, that answer will depend on what she does next. The ride home from the 4-H show feels heavier than any storm cloud. The truck hums along the quiet country road, but inside, it's painfully still. Lyndy sits in the passenger seat, staring out the window. Her show ribbon, a small, wrinkled token of effort, rests forgotten in her lap. Amy glances at her daughter every few seconds, wanting to speak but holding back. Every word she rehearses sounds wrong. "You did your best. It happens. Next time will be better." None of it feels right. Not after watching Lyndy's heart sink in front of the crowd. Amy knows that silence can hurt more than scolding. But she also knows it's sometimes the only space where pain can breathe. So she lets it hang there heavy, uncomfortable, necessary. When they finally reach Heartland, the ranch looks exactly the same. Calm horses in the paddock, the wind moving softly through the trees. But to Amy, it feels different. The place that once felt like a safe haven now mirrors her own unease. Lyndy climbs down from the truck, brushing off Amy's attempt to help. She walks straight to the barn, her small boots kicking at the dirt. Amy follows slowly, unsure if her daughter wants her there. Inside, the smell of hay and saddle leather wraps around them. Sugarfoot stands quietly in his stall, calm now, chewing at a pile of hay like nothing ever happened. Lyndy runs her hand along his mane, whispering something Amy can't quite hear. It's a moment between them, forgiveness, maybe, and Amy doesn't want to interrupt it. When Lyndy finally turns, her eyes are red, but her voice is steady. I messed it all up. The words pierce through Amy. Every instinct tells her to rush in with comfort, to say it wasn't her fault, to blame the noise, the crowd, anything else. But she stops herself. This isn't about fixing it. It's about helping Lyndy understand what went wrong and that it's okay to fail. Amy kneels beside her. You didn't mess up, she says softly. You just had a bad moment. Everyone does. Even me. Lyndy shakes her head, her lip trembling. But you never fall off. Amy smiles faintly. That's not true. I've fallen more times than I can count. The only difference is, I got back on every time. For the first time that day, Lyndy looks up at her mother. There's a glimmer of curiosity in her eyes, the beginning of belief. Amy continues, what matters isn't that Sugarfoot got scared. It's how you handled it. You didn't give up. That's what riders remember, not the fall, but the fight. Lyndy listens, her breathing slowing. The silence between them softens. She wipes her face with her sleeve and looks back at her horse. Do you think he's mad at me? Amy shakes her head. Horses don't stay mad. They just want to know you'll try again. Later that evening, as the sun dips behind the hills, Amy watches from the porch while Lyndy walks Sugarfoot around the yard. It's quiet, peaceful, and in that simple act, Amy sees something shift. The disappointment hasn't disappeared, but it's changing, turning into determination. Still, Amy can't shake the guilt that lingers. Maybe she pushed too hard, expected too much. Maybe she wanted Lyndy to be a reflection of her own younger self. The thought stings because it feels true. She realizes that being a mother isn't about teaching your child how to win, it's about helping them stand after they fall. As night settles over the ranch, Amy whispers to herself, she'll be okay. But deep down, she knows that the lesson isn't just for Lyndy, it's for her too. The next morning starts with the sound of hooves on gravel. Katie is already awake, brushing down Dodger before anyone else stirs. There's something restless in her movements, a kind of energy that doesn't belong to chores or responsibility. She's been keeping something to herself, a decision that's been growing quietly in the back of her mind. Where Amy faces the world with careful control, Katie has always felt things louder, sharper. And today, she's done waiting for permission. Dodger snorts as she tightens the cinch, sensing her mood. I know, boy, she whispers. It's crazy. But there's a spark in her eyes, the kind that burns when someone finally decides to act on what they've been afraid to say out loud. The ranch feels smaller lately, too predictable. Katie wants to prove she's not just Lou's daughter or the quiet girl who helps around the barn. She wants to be seen. Before anyone notices, she swings up onto Dodger's back and heads out toward the old ridge trail. The morning air is crisp, the field still damp with dew. For a while, it's just her and the rhythm of Dodger's gallop, a steady beat that drowns out every worry. She doesn't know exactly where she's going, only that she needs to go. Meanwhile, back at the house, Lou realizes Katie's missing. Panic flashes across her face. Amy, still rough from the previous day, feels her chest tighten again. 2 daughters, 2 different kinds of storms. They send messages, call her phone, no answer. Tim offers to check the northern trails, but Amy already knows where Katie might have gone. That ridge was always her escape too, up on the hill. Katie slows Dodger to a stop. From here, she can see all of Heartland spread out below the barns, the fences, the river curling like silver through the trees. It's beautiful, but it feels far away. She talks to Dodger softly, like to an old friend. I just needed to breathe, she admits. Everyone expects me to be careful, to always do the right thing. But what if I don't want that? Her words hang in the wind. It's not rebellion, not really. It's more like a plea, a young woman asking the world to see her for who she's becoming. She reaches down, running her fingers through Dodger's mane, feeling the warmth of life beneath her hands. You get it, don't you? She says with a half smile. You're not made to stay in one place either. Just then, the sound of another horse approaches. It's Amy. She reins in Spartan beside them, breathing hard from the climb. For a moment, neither speaks. The air between them is thick, not angry, just heavy with understanding. Amy could scold her. She could lecture her about safety, about thinking before acting. But she doesn't. Instead, she looks out at the valley with her. It's beautiful up here, Amy says quietly. Katie nods. I just needed to see it for myself. Amy's voice softens. I get that. I've been where you are, wanting to run, needing space. But you can't forget the people who worry when you're gone. Katie glances down, guilt flickering across her face. I wasn't running away. I just wanted to feel like I had control of something. Amy smiles faintly, eyes still on the horizon. Trust me, control is the trickiest thing to hold on to. The more you chase it, the faster it slips away. They sit there in silence for a while, two riders caught between generations, both learning that freedom and love often pull in opposite directions. When they finally turn back toward the ranch, the mood is lighter. Katie rides a little taller, Amy a little quieter. The lesson isn't complete, but the bridge between them has started to rebuild, not through words, but through shared understanding. As they reach the gate, Katie looks over at her mother. Are you going to tell Mom? She asks, half joking. Amy laughs softly. Let's just say we'll keep this one between us. Katie grins, relieved. And in that small secret, a new kind of trust is born, one that mirrors the title of the episode itself. Two can keep a secret. Evening settles over Heartland with the kind of quiet that makes you think the world has paused to listen. The sky is streaked with orange and violet, the air still warm from the day. Inside the barn, Amy stands by Sugarfoot's stall, brushing him with slow, thoughtful strokes. She's been here for a while, not really working, just thinking. Every sound seems louder, the soft scrape of hooves, the faint rustle of hay, the rhythmic creak of the old barn door swinging in the breeze. It's been a long 2 days. First Lyndy's fall, then Katie's sudden ride into the hills. Amy feels the weight of both like invisible reins pulling her in opposite directions. She tried to be the calm mother, the understanding sister, the strong trainer, but tonight, she just feels human, tired, uncertain, and strangely grateful that things didn't fall apart more than they did. She hears small footsteps before she sees them. Lyndy appears at the barn door, clutching a blanket around her shoulders. Her face is calm now. The sting of disappointment faded into something quieter, reflection. Can I help? She asks. Amy smiles and hands her the brush. Together they work in silence, moving with the same rhythm they've shared since Lyndy was little. After a moment, Lyndy speaks softly. Mom, I think Sugarfoot forgave me. Amy looks at her daughter, surprised by the maturity in her tone. Yeah? She asks. Lyndy nods. He didn't flinch when I touched his neck tonight. He just looked at me, like he knew I was sorry. Amy's throat tightens. That's the thing about horses, she says. They don't care about perfect. They care about trust. Lyndy pauses, then adds, I want to try again. I don't care if I don't win. Amy feels a rush of pride, mixed with relief. You will, she says quietly. Not because you didn't fall, but because you got back up. As they finish brushing Sugarfoot, Amy catches a glimpse of movement outside. Katie is leading Dodger back into his pen, her posture steady and confident. Their eyes meet through the fading light, and for a second, nothing needs to be said. The secret they share, that brief escape to the ridge, has softened something between them. Amy sees it now. Both girls are growing up, learning in their own ways that mistakes and courage are sometimes the same thing. Later, in the house, Lou is setting the table when she notices Amy staring out the window. You look like you're somewhere else, she teases gently. Amy smiles. Just thinking. Lou raises an eyebrow. That's never simple with you, Amy laughs, shaking her head. No, I guess not. It's just, they're changing, Lou. Lyndy, Katie, they're both figuring out who they are. And I'm realizing that maybe I have to learn to let go a little. Lou sets down a dish and nods. You always were the strong one. Maybe that's the hardest lesson, knowing when to step back. The sisters share a quiet smile, the kind that holds years of understanding. Outside, the night deepens. The ranch hums with peace again, not because everything's perfect, but because everyone's finally learning how to live with the imperfect dot in her room. Lyndy pins her crumpled 4-H ribbon above her desk. It's not a prize anymore, it's a reminder. Down the hall, Katie lies awake, scrolling through photos she took on the ridge, her lips curving into a small, secret smile. And in the barn, Amy sits alone for a few more minutes, listening to the steady breath of the horses. She whispers, half to herself, two can keep a secret, if one of them is the heart. The lights of Heartland fade behind her as the screen slowly dims, a quiet close to a day that taught them all the same truth. Love isn't about control or winning. It's about trust, forgiveness, and the courage to let each other grow. The next morning feels lighter, the kind of morning that almost tricks you into thinking yesterday never happened. Sunlight spills through the kitchen window, catching the dust in the air like tiny flecks of gold. The smell of pancakes drifts through the house. It's peaceful, but underneath that calm is something unspoken, something shared, the kind of quiet secret that holds a family together more than words ever could. Amy pours herself a cup of coffee and steps onto the porch. The ranch stretches out before her, alive again after a long emotional storm. She sees Lyndy helping feed the horses, her little hand steady on the bucket. She sees Katie brushing Dodger, humming softly, her movements slow and sure. For once, everything looks still, not because the chaos is gone, but because everyone's found a way to live with it. As she watches, Amy thinks about how much has changed in just a few days. The perfect show that fell apart. The ride into the hills. The guilt. The tears. The long silences that said more than any apology. And yet, somehow, those moments, messy, imperfect, and real, brought them closer than any flawless day ever could. Lou joins her on the porch, handing her a plate. You should eat before the coffee does all the work. Amy smiles. Thanks. I think I'm finally starting to breathe again. Lou leans against the railing. You know, I used to think raising kids meant protecting them from pain, but it's more about helping them survive it. Amy nods. Yeah, and trusting that they'll find their way even if it's not the way we imagined. A faint sound of laughter cuts through the morning air. Lyndy and Katie are in the paddock now, tossing handfuls of hay at each other, pretending to argue over who's faster at chores. For a moment, Amy just watches, her eyes soft but shining. That laughter, it's proof that the hurt didn't last forever. It changed shape. It became something lighter. Then Katie catches Amy watching and waves. You coming? Or are you just going to supervise? She calls out. Amy laughs, pretending to groan. I'm coming. She sets her mug down and walks toward them. The gravel crunches beneath her boots, the sun warm on her face. For the first time in a while, she feels balanced, not as the mother who has to fix everything, but as the woman who's learning to let her daughters stumble, grow, and find their own rhythm. When she reaches the paddock, Lyndy grins. Sugarfoot's ready to ride again. Amy kneels down to tighten the saddle, her hands steady but her heart racing just a little. Then let's do it right this time, she says. Lyndy looks nervous, but Amy gives her a reassuring nod. You're not the same rider you were yesterday. You're stronger now. Lyndy takes a deep breath and climbs onto Sugarfoot. The horse shifts, uncertain for a second, but then settles. Amy steps back, watching her daughter find balance again. Katie stands nearby with Dodger, smiling. It's a small moment, almost ordinary, but for Amy, it's everything. The fear, the pride, the love, all tangled together. Perfectly imperfect. When the ride is over, Lyndy slides off and throws her arms around her mom. I did it, she whispers. Amy hugs her tightly. You did more than that, she says. You didn't let fear win. As the sun rises higher, the three of them stand there, Amy, Lyndy, and Katie, surrounded by the quiet heartbeat of the ranch. Secrets may still linger, the unspoken ones between sisters, between mother and daughter, but they're the kind that don't divide. They bind. Later, as Amy closes the barn door, she glances back at her family. Her voice, soft but certain, breaks the stillness. Maybe that's the real secret, she says to herself. Not what we keep from each other, but what we hold together. The camera pans out wide shot of Heartland glowing under the morning light. The fields stretch endlessly, and the sound of laughter fades into the wind. Night falls over Heartland like a blanket, soft, steady, and full of unspoken thoughts. The day's warmth fades, replaced by the kind of quiet that only comes after something important has changed. The horses have settled, the lights in the barn glow dimly, and the ranch hums with a peace that feels earned. Amy steps outside with a mug of tea, the air cool against her skin. She doesn't rush. For once, there's no need to. She looks out toward the paddock where Sugarfoot grazes under the stars. The fence creaks as a light breeze moves through the field. Somewhere behind her, Lyndy laughs, that light, free sound Amy thought she'd lost after the show. Katie's voice joins in, teasing, playful. It's the kind of laughter that makes Amy close her eyes for a moment. She sits down on the porch steps, resting the mug beside her. It's funny, she thinks, how quiet moments can teach you more than any loud victory. Yesterday, everything felt broken, control slipping through her fingers, emotions tangled up in guilt and fear. But tonight, the pieces feel like they're falling back into place. Not perfectly, just honestly. Amy's mind drifts to her mother, to the lessons she learned watching Marion balance strength with tenderness. Maybe that's what parenting really is. Trying to guide without gripping too tight. Trying to love without letting fear take the reins. She smiles faintly at the thought. You'd probably tell me I'm still learning. She whispers into the night. A door opens softly behind her. Kitty steps out, barefoot, holding a blanket. You're going to freeze out here, she says, placing it around Amy's shoulders before sitting beside her. They sit in silence for a long while, watching the stars blink to life one by one. Finally, Katie speaks. I told Lyndy about the ridge. Amy glances at her. Oh. Katie nods, a sheepish smile playing at her lips. She said that was brave. I told her it was stupid. Amy chuckles. Maybe it was both. Katie leans her head against her mother's shoulder. Do you ever wish you could start over? Like, erase the mistakes? Amy thinks for a moment. No, she says softly, because then I'd lose the lessons that came with them. Every scar I've got came with a reason. Even the ones that still hurt. They sit there, the quiet stretching comfortably between them. Then Amy adds, you know, the secret isn't about hiding things. It's about protecting what matters until you're strong enough to share it. Katie turns this over in her mind, then nods slowly. So, two can keep a secret if they both understand why it matters. Amy smiles. Exactly. The moonlight reflects off the paddock fence, silver and soft. Lyndy appears at the window, waving before heading upstairs. The family feels whole again, not in the perfect way, but in the real way, the kind that survives the cracks. Before heading inside, Amy looks back one more time at the dark outline of the barn, the faint glow of the porch light, the stars scattered like promises overhead. Her voice drops to a whisper, more to herself than anyone else. Heartland always finds its way back. And maybe that's what this episode is really about, not the show gone wrong, or the mistakes made in fear, but the quiet strength it takes to face them. In a world where secrets often divide, sometimes the right ones, the gentle, honest ones, hold everything together. As the screen fades to black, the sound of crickets fills the air, and the faintest trace of a smile lingers in Amy's eyes. Every secret has a heartbeat, and at Heartland, it beats in forgiveness, in love, and in the courage to begin again.